Hello there, fourth graders, and welcome to your next math lesson. Please take out your math notebook and open to the next available page. And at the top of that page, write the title of today's lesson, which is Use Place Value to Round. Use place value to round. Okay, so when we're rounding numbers, we are finding a number that's around the exact answer. We're not finding the exact answer. So basically, we're changing a number to be something that's around the same value, but not the exact same value. And why do people round? Well, people round when they don't need to know what an exact number is, or maybe even sometimes when it's impossible to know what an exact number is. Like, for instance, if someone said, how many people live in a certain county? There's really no way to know exactly how many people, because someone could have just died or someone could have just been born. So people will often say something like, oh, about 30,000 people live in that particular county. They don't mean that there's exactly 30,000 people. There probably wouldn't be that exact number, but they just mean, give or take, it's about that much. So that's what we're doing when we're rounding. We're finding what's called an estimate. And it's just a number that's, and again, you hear the word round here, that's around the exact answer. So we can use place value to round, because generally when you're told to round, you'll be told what place value position to round to. So let's just jump right into an example here. Let's say we had 290,152. That's a very exact number. But let's say you were told to round to the hundred thousands place. Whenever you're told to round to a specific place value position, the first thing you have to do is find that place value position. So remember, this is the ones place, this is the tens place, this is the hundreds place, and all three of those place value positions are in the ones period. This is the 1,000s place, this is the 10,000s place, and this is the 100,000s place. And this number we're going to round to the 100,000s place. So the 2 is the digit that's in the 100,000s place. So since we're rounding to that place value position, that's the number that's asking for a raise. Okay? So that 2 thinks, you know what? I deserve a raise. So who does he ask for a raise from? He always asks the number to his right. So the 2 says, hey 9, can I have a raise? Now, numbers always say yes whenever they can. If they're 5 or more, we up the score. If they're 4 or less, we let it rest. What does that mean? Well, the 2 asks the 9 for a raise. Since 9 is 5 or more, so if it's a 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, we up the score. That means 2 does get a raise. So the 2 rounds up to 3. We're going to write the rounded number, the estimate number, right under the exact number. So the 2 rounds up to a 3. And then after we round that digit up, everything else to the right becomes a 0. So the 9 becomes a 0, the 0 already is a 0, the comma stays in the same spot, the 1 becomes a 0, the 5 becomes a 0, and the 2 becomes a 0. So we rounded 290,152 up to 300,000. And so that makes sense, because 300,000 is about the same as 290,152. It's around the exact answer, so it's the rounded answer. So if there were 290,152 people living in a certain country, you could say, oh, it's about 300,000 people. And you wouldn't be lying, even though it's not the exact answer, because it's a rounded answer, and everybody would understand that. Let's do another example. Let's do 37,890. This time, we're going to round to the hundreds place. So again, remember, the first thing we do is we find whatever place value position we're supposed to round to. So the 0's in the ones place, the 9 is in the tens place, and the 8 is in the hundreds place. That's the place value position we're rounding to. So we underline that 8. So he's the digit that's asking for a raise. and he asks the digit to his right. He says, hey 9, can I have a raise? And remember, if it's 5 or more, up the score. That would mean the 8 would go up. If it's 4 or less, let it rest. That would mean the 8 would stay the same. Since 9 is 5 or more, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, we up the score so that 8 becomes a 9. Everything to the right becomes a 0. The 9 becomes a 0. The 0 stays a 0. And everything to the left stays the same. So we just rounded 37,890. We rounded it up to 37,900. Okay? So that's how you round. You're just changing the number to make it a more rounded number. A less exact number, but still an acceptable answer. Also, I said people round sometimes when they don't need to find the exact answer. Sometimes people also round for that same reason, but also to make the adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing easier. Like let's say we had 37 plus 43. Well, let's say you didn't really need to know the exact answer to 37 plus 43. You could round the 37 up to 40, and you could round the 43 down to 40, and then you have 40 plus 40. So you could say 37 plus 43 is about 80. Okay, so that's just another example there. Now, of why people round. So let's do another example. Let's say we have 845,636. And let's say we want to round it to the 10,000s place, okay? The 10,000s place. So which digit is in the 10,000s place? Well, it's the 4, because see, this is the 1s place, the 10s place, the 100s place, then the 1,000s place, then the 10,000s place. So the 4 is the number asking for a raise. He asks for a raise from the digit to his right, and he says, hey 5, can I have a raise? Now 5, if it's 5 or more, up the score. 4 or less, let it rest. It's 5 or more, so the 5 says yes. So the 4 becomes a 5. Again, everything to the left stays the same, and everything to the right becomes zeros. So 845,636 rounds up to 850,000. Let's do another example. Let's say we have 709,385, and we want to round this one to the 100,000s place. So we're going to round it up to the 100,000s place. The 7 is in the 100,000s place. So he's the number asking for a raise, and he asks the digit to his right. So he says, hey 0, can I have a raise? Now remember, 5 or more, up the score. 4 or less, let it rest. Is 0 5 or more, or is he 4 or less? Well, 0 is obviously less than 4. So 4 or less, let it rest. That means 7 does not get a raise. He stays the same. Everything to the right becomes a 0. So we just rounded 709,385 to 700,000. And that makes sense, because if there were 709,385 people who lived maybe in a state, and someone was like, how many people live in that state? You could say, oh, it's about 700,000. You probably wouldn't know the exact answer. So saying 700,000 would be an acceptable estimate. Maybe let's do one more example. Let's do 456,750. You know what? Let's go ahead and change that actually, because I want to do another example where we round it down. So let's actually scratch that out. Let's do 452,750. We're going to round this one to the 10,000s place. So that's here. The 5 is in the 10,000s place. Remember, 1s, 10s, 100s. That's all the 1s period. 1,000s, 10,000s, 100,000. So the 5 is in the 10,000s place. He asks the 2 for a raise. What does the 2 say? Does the 2 say yes or no? Remember, 5 or more, up the score. 4 or less, let it rest. So 2 is not 5 or more. He's 4 or less. So he says, sorry 5, I can't give raises. I'm not qualified. I'm not high enough up in management. So the 2 says no. The 5 stays the same. Everything to his left also stays the same. Everything to the right becomes a 0. So it's 450,000. So that's how you round numbers. You're told what place value position you're going to round to. You find that number, you underline it. He's the digit that asks for a raise from the number to his right. The number to his right either says yes or no. If it's 5 or more up the score, he says yes. If it's 4 or less, let it rest, he says no. If he says no, the digit you're rounding to stays the same. Everything to the left also stays the same. Everything to the right becomes a 0. If he's 5 or more, he says yes, and the digit you're rounding to goes up 1. Everything to the left stays the same. Everything to the right becomes a 0. Oh, I just realized there's one more example that I want to do. I remember this that confused me when I was in 4th grade. So let's say we have 49,623. And we're going to round it to the 10,000s place again. So ones, tens, hundreds, 1,000, or no, I'm sorry. We're going to round it to the 1,000s place because I want to focus on that 9. So ones, tens, hundreds, 1,000s place. That's what we're rounding to. So it's the 9 asking the 6 for a raise. What do you do when it's a 9 and it has to go up? Because you can't put a 10 in that one place value position. So here's what you do. The 9 becomes a 10 and you basically regroup. So the 0 goes there, you carry the 1 above the 4, and the 4 becomes a 5. So if you rounded 49,623, these all become zeros, of course. If you rounded 49,623 to the 1,000s place, you end up having to round up the 10,000s place too, because that 1,000s place, since it's a 9, becomes a 10. So the 0 goes here, the 1 gets carried up above the next place value position, and it gets rounded up to a 5. So that's what you do when the place value position you have to round up is a 9, and when it gets rounded up, it becomes a 10, and you have to round up the next place value position too. So that's how that works. I hope this lesson made sense to you. If not, you can always rewatch it. Also, you can ask questions in class. The only way you're watching this video is if you're at home. Maybe you're sick or something, or maybe your family is on vacation. Make sure you do the video, make sure you take the quiz, which is attached beneath this video in the Math Google Classroom. And I will catch you next time. Mr. Dauber, signing off. Let's see if I can figure out how to get out of the video.